main stage, and I'm here right now with my good friend Kathy Bruins. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you. I love being here. Love seeing you.
I have known you through womenspeakers.com for years.
Mhm.
And then a couple of years ago, you started a program called the Well Conference for Creatives. In
Yes.
fact, right before COVID, right? And then, of course, COVID. And then when you launched back again last year, your venue was canceled at the last minute because of COVID. And then God provided another venue, and I got to go be with you there. And wow, I love the Well. Just love the Well. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So the Well is a conference, kind of a unique conference. It's kind of fun because earlier we had Misty from Spark, and that is a conference specifically for podcasters.
Okay.
And what you've done with the Well is you've created a conference for any creative, any of those idea people that God puts an idea in their head and they're like, I gotta express this, whether it's through, I want you to list them all because it's a lot.
It is, and it keeps growing. I just love it. We have 8 tracks this year in 2022. We have writing for beginners and intermediates. We have speaking, acting, art, publishing and marketing, self-care, and comedy. So that's what 2022 looks like, and we are so excited. We are going to have so many great things happening, and we have so many professionals joining us to reach out to the attendees.
Yeah, this is held in near Grand Rapids, Michigan. That would be the airport you would fly into, or if you're in Michigan. But we have people that are coming in from all over the place. And one of the things this year is there's a strong focus on the theater media.
Yes, there is. Yes, God nudged me to reach out to JC Films because I was working for a client who was getting a film done by them. And then I found out another co-director went to one of their film festivals and met with the owner, Jason Campbell. Okay. Okay, God, I'm going to call him. We'll see what happens. And so, well, actually, I sent an email and I explained about the Well. And I thought he'll respond in a few days. He responded in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And he said, and I quote, I'm in.
Yes.
And so he will be
Awesome.
teaching breakout sessions and doing his film festival alongside with the Well.
Right. So the film festival, does that run then in the auditorium as the breakouts are going, or how does that work?
No, it's in a separate room. That's a huge room.
Yeah.
And it's just perfect for it. It's like a big theater. And how it's going to work is everyone who attends the Well gets to go to the film festival for free.
Nice.
But if they just go to the film festival, which is fine, I think it's $75 to watch as many films as you want.
Wow, that's awesome. So that will be running simultaneously. So this conference, well, I'm on the board now, and so I'm helping with I'm leading the speaker track as well as the publishing and marketing track. So I'm super involved there, and I know you guys just want to come just for those 2 tracks. That's what I would say. But when God put this in your heart, Kathy, were you like thinking like, what could I do? What could I do? Or how did this come to you? The Well.
I would say I wanted for a long time to do a writer's conference, but somehow it just didn't seem complete. And it took a couple of years of praying about it. And we did have one conference in 2018, and that was mostly featuring speakers and writers. But God had bigger plans, and he made it very clear to me that he wants his creatives to make an impact on the world for his kingdom. And that's how he's going to do it. And so I'm so excited to be a part of that. And it's amazing at each conference, each leadership meeting, everything that God is doing is overwhelming at times. It's nothing I could do. He sets it up to every
Right.
detail. It's incredible.
It is, isn't it? It's just like when you're doing a God-sized project at God's direction.
Mhm.
It is the phrase I always use is, "I can't believe I got to be part of this."
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's so much bigger than I could do, than I could think of, than I could pull off myself, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And the attendees, they're so wonderful. And I just love networking with them and
yeah,
introducing them to others that can help them in their
right.
business, and to have them meet each other and plan projects together,
Yeah, right.
and to see
Yeah,
someone get a contract at the conference. It's
right.
just awesome.
Yeah. And to just think that God flowed that through you. I mean, I think that's the amazing thing of serving God, is that we are his flow through vessels. And what he flows through you is different than what he flows through me or through somebody else. But the reality is he's getting all the work done.
He is, and I'm not gonna say it's smooth all the time.
It
There are some
isn't.
rocky times, but God,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
remember when I got that phone call that said the church was not gonna be available for us, and I
Right.
had 2 months to
Yeah.
find a place, and,
Yeah.
it was because of COVID, I understand, and I reached out to 40 churches in the, area. 1 was the only one that could do it, and
That's
the one
oh,
we were at, which
in
was
a
just
beautiful facility.
beautiful. Yes,
Absolutely
that's what God wanted. And
exactly.
I said,
You know what?
"God, how
Yeah.
am I gonna pay for this?" And
Mhm,
he,
mhm.
at that same time, gave me this writing project that was huge, that paid
Huh.
for it. And it was like, "Thank you, Jesus."
It reminds me, there was this one time that I had a need for $10,000 for a project. It was many, many, many years ago.
Mhm.
And, I was like, "God, I don't see how I can possibly do this, but if you would provide the $10,000, then I will do this project, and it's all up to you," and it is up to God, actually. It's his project, and if he wants to do it, he can pay for it. So
Absolutely.
so we walk by faith. But then I get this call, this random call, and it's a gal that I had worked for before as a pinch hit speaker, and she had this consulting job, and she said, "I just keep thinking of you." Well, don't you think that after 6 months of consulting and doing the whole project and all the expenses that went into the project, guess what was left at the end? $10,000.
Exactly.
It was a huge amount of money to get down to my $10,000. But
Yes.
the reality is that if God wants you to do something, money is no object. You may have to work for it.
Right.
Like you had a book project, I had a
Yeah,
consulting project, but in the end, he pays for it.
he
It's
does.
him that gave us those opportunities, right? I even years ago, I was struggling with how much is me and how much is you? Like, am I me at all, or am I just like a robot you? Like how does this work? But what he does is he just creates us uniquely, and then we have unique desires and unique contacts and unique time in history and unique placement and all of that. And that's what he's looking to use, is that uniqueness about us. And of course, our personalities flow through the summit. This summit is very much me. The well is very much you. It's God, but yet our character, our personalities flow through it so clearly. I
Mm.
love the well and the focus on prayer, the focus on equipping, the focus on collaboration and partnerships. I just love the feel of the well.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and God had that
Mm,
all planned, especially, the prayer, and
yeah.
and I just didn't realize, I mean, I knew it was needed, but I didn't realize how much. And, so
Mhm.
many people mention that in their evaluations, how it just meant so much to them. So
So I want to, for those of you who haven't ever attended it, there's a prayer room that is manned the whole time the conference is going on. So if
mhm,
you want prayer, you just go in when you have an opening or when you want to, and someone will pray with you.
mhm.
What an amazing thing to have at a writers conference, at a conference for creatives, to have this active prayer room available the whole time. But the reality is if we don't do it with God, then everything we accomplish is just as good as it can be here. But when we do it with God, the results are eternal. The results, it's a completely different outcome.
Yes, yes, it is. And, I am still hearing things from people from the well, and, their updates on their projects, and,
Yeah.
they're excited about this coming year, and just a lot of good things.
One of the things, after working with speakers and writers for so many years, mostly speakers for me,
Mhm.
is that a lot of creatives, in fact, I would say most creatives work by themselves,
Yes.
often out of their home or out of a studio with not a whole lot of interaction with other people. And when they interact, it's typically with a client, typically with someone who's paying them to do something for them.
Right.
And so to have a place where we can all come together and encourage one another and be in relationship, like with people who, when you say something, they don't think you're bragging. They just go, wow, look what God did.
Yes.
They
Yes.
can relate. Like a lot of your friends, as a creative, a lot of your friends do not understand you. They don't understand
True.
your life. They don't understand how many hours you sit by yourself in front of a computer screen
Mhm.
or in your studio creating what you're creating to give to the world for them to take it or leave it or shoot arrows at it or whatever they want to do with it. And it's a very lonely path. It's like, for me, it's not lonely at all because I'm here with Jesus all the time and I'd never get lonely. But for a lot of people, it does get lonely. And it is so fun to just hang out with people who understand.
It is, because you can build a mindset where I'm alone,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
or else, um, they get suspicious of sharing their work, someone's gonna steal it.
Yeah.
Well, instead of coming together and helping each other.
Mhm.
So, yes, we are taking steps to building that community, not only with the conference, but other things we want to do.
Well, one of the things you started was a publishing arm.
I did. The Well Publishing is, for the creatives who need a spot to have someone walk with them through the publishing process.
Mhm.
We still have our guidelines and everything, but we have resources to help you make your work excellent. We have lists of editors and layout people and the printing process. We have it all.
Mhm.
And ghostwriters, even, or collaborators, because we know that your work is important to you
Yeah.
and you want it to be your best because your work is for God and for the kingdom. And we join you uh, in making that happen. And we are so excited about that because we want to see everyone succeed in this. So,
How did that publishing idea come to you?
oh, I had 5 minutes free time one day. And I thought, what else can I do? But I do have someone on there, Sandy, who is volunteering at this moment, and she has a lot of experience in the publishing business. And I have done some publishing for clients. So with my experience and her expertise,
Mm.
um, we just seem to pull it together. And Victoria, of course, is a part of that.
Yeah,
Victoria,
Victoria Chapman. Yeah.
yeah, she's a miracle all by herself. And
She is a
how
walking
God
miracle.
nudged her to contact me. Can I help you with the next well? And she just wanted to be a hostess or something. And look at her
She's done
now.
so
She's a
much great.
co-director.
Yeah. She's just amazing. And her
Like,
story is so amazing. And in fact, you guys published her book.
yes.
Mm.
Well, we are working on publishing the book.
Working on it.
We
Okay.
did Undaunted. That was our first book we published,
Yeah.
and that's the prayer journal. And she's just doing wonderful things for the well. I always say thank you, God, for Victoria.
Right. And I think this is so important too, for you guys that are listening, if you are a creative or whatever, that God has people who he wants to have you partner with. And it doesn't have to be a ton of people, and it doesn't have to be who you thought it might be. It might be really a surprise person.
Mhm.
Um, I was talking about earlier that $10,000 that God gave me through the consulting work. And when that came, I was at the time homeschooling my children, running womenspeakers.com, managing the restaurant, managing a retail store, and still going and speaking sometimes. And when I got that contract offer, I was like, I just don't see how I'm gonna like get it done. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't see where it's gonna fit. And God right away put a name in my mind, and I mentioned it to her, and she said, "No, I don't think so. I just that's over my head. I don't think so." And so I was just keeping going, and she got back to me and she goes, "Oh, I think I really messed up here." She said, "My husband told you I had to call you right now." I said, "Uh-oh, what happened?" And she said, "Well, I was at the grocery store and I was thinking and thinking about what you had told me about." And the lady behind me, she said her name. She said, "I was thinking about it and I said it out loud." And she said, "I would love to do something like that. Marnie, I'm so sorry." And I said, "No, uh, I mean, right. But maybe that's just God's answer." And it was. That lady came, she worked her tail off. She had to learn how to do a lot of the stuff that we had to do, but she did it. And she was like the perfect detail oriented person. I'm not detail oriented. And so, it's just the perfect person. So I think sometimes we just got to keep our eyes and our hearts open. And even like in that situation, I could have been really upset because the lady that I had talked to about it even mentioned the price out loud to her, like salary. I was like, "Oh, wow." But as I just gave it to God, just keep giving everything to God, and he just gave me the best person, and I would have never thought of her. I never would have thought of her.
He is so good. He is so
He's
amazing.
Yeah, his timing. I think of Monica Guthrie too, who's
Yeah.
come along as the hospitality coordinator, and her skill level is like over the moon. To put
Yes.
together this amazingly beautiful food and delicious. I mean, it was just really incredible that at a conference you could be fed like that,
Oh, I know. I am so thankful for her too, and
and
I'm
even so much more than food.
just
Yeah,
everyone who's
yeah,
on faculty and everything. It's
mm,
just amazing how God
mm,
pulled all these people together.
yeah. I have to tell you a little story about God's timing too. Last year, when I got to the conference, I wasn't going to make it in time for the faculty dinner on
Okay.
Thursday night. But God just had the host, my other host, God had her needing to get to a different place. And so she just said, "I have to take you now." So I did. I got there right when you all were getting in your vehicles to go to dinner. And I don't think I ever got to tell you this, but my son had just the day before I flew to Michigan, my youngest son had joined the military to go into special forces. And if you can imagine a mommy's heart, he's 29, and I was thinking about him all the time. Well, don't you suppose that God set me next to and across from at dinner moms who had sons that had been in the special forces?
Oh, wow.
Is that
Now that
incredible?
is incredible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they were so comforting to me. And also, they gave me a couple specific pieces of information I needed to know. Like he had said he was worried about a certain thing. And one of them said, "That's what my son was worried about too. And here's what he did." I mean, it was so specific. And that's what God does when we step out. And, if God's putting this well conference in your heart, or if he's just calling you to step out and make your first painting or whatever it is that he's calling you to do, just trust him, step
Yes.
out. And, before we came live, you said one of the things you wanted to mention to people was that it's not always easy.
No, it isn't always easy because we're working with a lot of people and a lot of details, and things go wrong, and sometimes faculty can't come, but God always, always provides. He works these situations out. It's just following him, trusting him. Don't I just remember when I heard about the church that
Right.
couldn't do it, I did not freak out. I didn't. I'm, and that was so
Wow.
surprising to me.
Right.
And it was because God
It,
was
it's
telling me,
God's
it's
conference.
all right. Yep.
Right. Yep. Well, even right before we came online, your computer was absolutely going fritzy. I mean, it wasn't working.
Yes. It jammed right up.
Yep.
First it was the camera
Camera.
and then the microphone and then it just jammed.
Yeah.
It's been working perfectly before this, and so we prayed, knowing God
Mhm.
had it, and
Mhm.
He did. Here we are.
I think one of my favorite things about working for God is that it's not all about me. It's not all up to me. It's not even my problem unless I make it my problem. Because if I want to make it my problem, I get to have the problem.
Right.
But what God calls us to do is recognize we have a problem and that He wants to solve it.
Mhm.
Give the problem to Him as if I'm selling Him my car. He drives away with my problem. I don't go check on Him and make sure He's changing the oil.
Right.
Then I ask Him, now that I don't have a car, I need a new car, right? Fill me with something different than what I just gave you. And usually that's like a fruit of the Spirit. It's usually peace or patience or something like that. And then I just say thank you. So it's the 4 R's. You recognize you got a problem. God wants to help you. Release it to Him. Receive His reciprocal gift. And then respond with gratitude. And if you find that you are worrying as if you own it again, just give it back to Him again. But typically, the way that we take it back is we don't wait for Him to give us the new car. We just go running down the road like we don't need a car, but we do. We need something where that used to be, where that problem used to be. We need something there. So we
Mhm.
have to pause and ask Him to fill us. And it's the principle of, when the demon is cast out and then 7 demons come back in. That's kind of this principle here. If we release it to Him, but then we don't let Him fill that space with Himself, then right away we've got that problem back. And it even feels worse because now it feels like God doesn't care. And that's
Mm.
not the case at all. God cares so much, but we just didn't pause to let Him fill that space in. So then we keep owning our problems. But, what you just said about, not being freaked out about losing your venue less than 2 months before, and people already had plane tickets. There was so much invested already. And I mean, it happened to every planner, right? March of 2020, right?
Right.
Yeah. But the reality is, if it's not, I think it's like Moses. If it's not God's, then I don't want it. If it's
Yes.
not God's for me, then I don't want it. And Moses said it this way: if you don't go with us, we won't go because you're the distinguishing difference.
Mhm.
And so, what if he didn't want you to have the conference in 2021? That would have been his call, right?
Right.
What if he didn't want
Exactly.
us to do this interview tonight? That would have been his call. But
Mhm.
we can allow ourselves to get all freaked out about it, right? I mean,
Oh,
that's
we
just one of
can.
the choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so much better not to. Just to trust.
Oh, it's really the abundant life. Truly, it's the abundant life to not have to be freaked out about everything all the time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So, do you have another story? I asked you if there were times in your life where you had stepped out to do something for God and it didn't go the way that you expected. Did you come with a story? Mm,
Yes. I gotta be careful. Um, the first conference we had,
mhm.
I had 2 keynotes scheduled, and I had no idea some things that were going on, and
Mm,
someone let me know, and
mm,
it was heartbreaking, and I
mm,
cried,
mhm.
and I just couldn't believe it, and, um, but God worked through it, and it was a beautiful first conference, and it was a lot smaller, of course. We've grown to 3 places now, but, it was a right on Lake Michigan. It was beautiful,
Mm,
but it was a hard thing to go through, and, but it has helped me become stronger to be able to handle situations like that.
right.
So I'm thankful for that. And God
Yeah,
walked with me through the whole thing. He did not leave me.
right.
Um, so
Mm.
that was difficult.
I think, when things like that happen, our tendency, at least I'm going to speak for myself, my tendency is to say, God, how could you have let that happen? You knew all about this. Why did you let me pick them? If you already knew, why? And we just watched American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story. Have you seen that?
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about
It's
it.
so good. But one of the things in there, I won't give you the whole story, of course, but just one of the little things was that he joined this one football team, And they show him at practice, and they've got him with the ball getting ready to throw, and then somebody tackles him, and then you see it again and again and again. And then he finally stands up and he looks at the coach and he's like, how much longer? How much longer are you going to let them do this? And the coach said, until you're ready.
Wow.
They were literally toughening him up so that when he saw people running right into his space at full speed, like a truck ready to hit him, he wouldn't lose his cool. He could just put his arm back and throw that ball exactly where he knew it needed to go. And the way that they did it is really they had to just beat him up. They had to beat him up until he wasn't any longer shocked or afraid when people were running at him like that. And it was really a moment for me in the movie when I was like, right, that's kind of what you do, God, isn't it? You kind of beat us up a little bit. But he knows it's not going to really hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we feel it. But we feel it like we feel the arrows that are hitting our shield.
Yeah.
You feel the arrow hit, but the arrow doesn't hurt you. You
Mhm.
just feel it hit.
Right.
And so when you step out with God, when you do the thing he's calling you to do, just get ready. You're going to feel some of those.
You
It's
are.
going to happen. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. In fact, it means he loves you. He doesn't want you to get into a situation where you're just not prepared
Right.
to do what he's called you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes right now I feel like when those kind of things happen, the first thing I think of is, oh, this is going to be so good.
I know. Right, me too. Me too. And you know what? That's really what James 1 is talking about. Count it all joy when you come into trouble. Count it all joy.
Right.
Because why? Because if you're having trouble when you're on the path with God toward his God-given goals for you, if you're having trouble, that means it's just going to get better and better.
Yes.
And it's not that it's going to necessarily feel better and better. I mean, when Corrie ten Boom was in the prison camp, that could not have felt good.
Right.
But look at all the people she was able to reach in the camp and afterward because she did it with Jesus.
Incredible.
And that's the distinguishing difference.
It is.
Oh, well, you guys, I just encourage you to check out the Well Conference. If you go to the sponsor page, they're right there, as well as just see you at thewell.net. Kathy, thank you for following Jesus and for creating this amazing conference for creatives. Nothing else like it.
Yes.
And God bless you as you keep getting ready. It's in April this year.
In April 28th through 30.
Yep. And so you guys want to check that out right away, get your tickets early. And we hope to see you at the Well. I love the name of the conference. See you at thewell.net.
Thank you.
All right. Godspeed.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.